Let's talk about movies. So we're sharing our thoughts on a biographical sport drama which is called Unstoppable. First time guest today, my very good friend Ian. Hello, Ian.
Hi, good evening. Hi, how you doing, Phil? You all right?
Yeah, good. Is it Ian or is it Cactushead? What would you prefer?
Well, Ian is absolutely fine. Cactushead is the DJ name I chose probably accidentally about 15 years ago, and I've kind of stuck with it. I know some people like change it after a few years, but I feel like it's now like kind of attached to me permanently.
I don't think I've ever asked you where that name came from. Where did the idea come from?
Someone rubbed my head a long time ago, and because when it's not completely shaven, it's a little bit prickly, and it's a bit like a cactus.
I love that.
I'm going to retcon it though, because in Australia, it turns out it's also slang for a grumpy person. So there you go. I'm going to be cool and edgy and go with that, even though actually I'm quite a nice person generally.
I love it. So I've got to say thank you, first of all. Thank you for joining us, but also thank you for the great night out that we had. I mean, I had an ear infection, so I couldn't hear out of one ear. It was that one. I don't know why I'm pointing at that one, although I have got problems with that one as well. But luckily we had a massive screen because it was the IMAX screen, wasn't it? In Leicester Square. Was it View, Cineworld? Can't remember which one.
Yeah, the Cineworld IMAX, yeah, absolutely, which is where the big IMAX screen where they put the showy screenings on. It's a great cinema, huge screen, and I was actually at a screening last night of Wicked, and Jeff Goldblum was there, and he walked on and literally just spent the whole kind of first few minutes looking up amazed, like he'd never seen an IMAX screen before. Which is fine, but the only downside is there's no leg room, so people with long legs maybe want to go somewhere else.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point, because I dropped my glasses at one point. I mean, luckily, because the screen was so big, I didn't need them because we were so close to it, but I did spend a lot of time, too much time, faffing around below my seat trying to find them.
I love the bit where you wonder whether you'd actually brought them at all. That was great.
And we were checking photos we were taking just to check if I was wearing them. I love it. And we saw a few famous faces as well, didn't we?
Yes.
We saw Dame Kelly Holmes.
And then we were sitting next to a famous, highly lauded Paralympian whose name escapes me because I'm not generally a sports person. Great candidate for seeing a sports film. There were some actors as well, weren't there? They were just kind of all milling around, weren't they?
Yeah, it was great. And on stage we had Q&A, and we had Jennifer Lopez, who was sat next to the woman that she was playing in the film, who's Judy Robles, who's Anthony Robles' mum. Now, this film is all about Anthony Robles. I've got to say, before we start the review, I'm not normally someone who enjoys sport dramas, but I found this really fascinating because I didn't know much about his life at all. Probably because I'm not really a big sport fan, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm the same, really. I'm not big on the sports, but and the things I love cinema. I love all kinds of films, really. So if you put me in front of a sports film, I will, like all films, I'll probably enjoy it and I'll get something out of it. And that's kind of what happened here, really. I wouldn't go seeking a sports film out like this. I mean, the reason this film exists and what is so important about it is that the story is so, it sounds like cliches. It is inspirational because it genuinely happened. This is a guy that was born with one leg. It wasn't even one leg at the knee. It was right up near the thigh, isn't it? So it made wearing prosthetics really difficult, and he rejected wearing prosthetics, and he turned to a life of wrestling, and against all the odds, it's kind of the Rocky story, and they echo that throughout the film and make references to Rocky. But in that genre of film, I think it does it pretty well, because I was fairly gripped all the way through. I don't know what you thought there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I was really kind of interested in the story, and I think it's because I'm generally interested by people's lives. I mean, I read a lot of autobiographies as well. I don't tend to watch, like I say, sport dramas, but I think if the story is fascinating enough, I would enjoy it and it would keep me gripped. And this did keep me gripped, definitely. It's directed by William Goldenberg as well, in his, I believe, featured directorial debut, which I thought was really shocking because it feels really confident. I think there are a lot of films like this, but I think that's because there are a lot of fascinating people who have very, interesting lives. And to overcome that as well, the disability in a story like this, I think it's a story that needs to be told.
Yeah, I mean he's an editor. He edited Argo, and he's edited some other Ben Affleck and Matt Damon films, and this is all part of their new production company called Artists Equity, and it's like the fourth production, or it follows on in the sport. They've done a sports one before. They did that film about Nike called Air.
Ben Affleck's one of the producers, isn't he, of this film?
Yeah, he's one of the producers, and so is Matt Damon actually as well. So yeah, fundamentally, what I take it is this story does need to be told because it is incredible and it is a positive message, and it says something very, obvious, but it bears repeating. And I think, we're going to need to repeat this message for the rest of eternity, really, is that you shouldn't let what other people think of you hold you back. And that is, that's a theme, I was echoed when I saw Wicked last night as well. But it's very pertinent here because obviously he's told he can't do any of these things. And he turns that around and he trains and he doesn't give up. And part of the story is really about how he won't even settle for a free scholarship at a low grade college that is perfectly passable, but hasn't had any major wrestling achievements. He holds out for the scholarship at the better place. I think it's Oklahoma, isn't it? What I found interesting about it is that it is a film, is a genre film. Like a lot of sports films, it hits a certain number of beats in a certain kind of way. Particularly when you start to see the malicious stepfather character, kind of roughly what's going to happen there, and it's played so excellently by Bobby Cannavale.
Yeah, I never know how to pronounce it. He's always excellent, though, isn't he? I mean, he's a real presence on screen. He's certainly a dynamic actor that handles that kind of role really well.
There were lots of beats there which you've seen a lot in, as you say, in films before, like the nasty stepfather, also the inspirational trainers, and there are two of them there. There's one played by the fabulous Michael Peña, and then there's Don Cheadle as well, is in there giving it his all. But what someone has been through that and taken another pass at the script and turned all of those scenes on their heads and tried to make them as non-cliche as possible. In a sense, so the beats are predictable, but the way they're told, actually, I found quite refreshing. And often the characters would say, how about this for an inspirational speech, and then be told, no, that's cheesy and ridiculous, which I thought was quite cute. So I did appreciate the effort they did into being aware of the genre that they were in and the battle they had against them to try and stand out against other films.
Anthony Robles, played by, is it Jharrel Jerome? Just brilliant. I mean, you said at the end, you said he was really good. We both agreed that he was fantastic as Anthony. And Anthony was the stunt double as well. So he's actually on screen playing that role, playing himself, but obviously in the wrestling scenes.
You have to give a massive shout out to the special effects people there, because I didn't really recognize him from Moonlight, because I now remember him as being so amazing in Moonlight, but I didn't recognize him, and I spent the whole film thinking, wow, they've managed to find somebody also with one leg who is also really, really fit and a really good actor and can do all these things. Yeah. And he came on at the end. I thought, hang on, he's got two legs. What's going on?
It's incredible. And also the continuity in that respect as well, because the continuity is, I think, it could be quite challenging, I think, to actually film, wrestling and also make it believable, make you think that is Anthony Robles, when, of course, half of it is, I guess. But also to get that right so it doesn't look like it's two people playing that character.
It had me fooled, absolutely, because he's playing himself from 14 years ago, and there's a lot of CGI to remove obviously the leg where you're seeing the actor straight on, but then in a lot of the rehearsal, the exercise shots, and there's a fantastic sequence of going up and down a mountain in what looks like the Joshua Tree there, which is clearly the real Anthony Robles doing that now in hindsight, and they blend it so well. And he doubles for himself 14 years younger. When some people might say, that's when you won the college championships. That's when you're at your best. But no, he's still blooming good now. He's still in tip-top shape.
And I think it is a film that would appeal to a lot of people as well. Not just the people that are fascinated by his life story, but also people that like that kind of drama, because it doesn't just feature, obviously that story about his amazing achievements in the wrestling, but also like you mentioned, the family story as well, because there is a lot to overcome there. And that does sound cheesy just saying that out loud, but actually he did overcome a lot of troubles and a lot of, a lot of problems at home. So there's that to think about, as well as, what he did as a wrestler.
Yeah, he was getting it from all directions. He was being told, there's no way he'd be good enough. And even when he got on the big team, it was like, well, we'll put you on the bench and see how you go there, and we're not optimistic about you. And then at home, he's he's othered. You can say he's othered, really, by the stepfather, and then the mother that is half apologizing for him and half apologizing for her husband. It's like an awkward thing then. And Jennifer Lopez she's very strong in this, I think, slightly dodgy wig notwithstanding. She's I had wig distraction. I think that's the thing,
Hashtag it.
It's like, well, I'm loving you here, but the wig is taking me out of this. But seriously, she's very strong in it. And she's given enough to do, I think, to push her beyond the kind of angsty, supportive mother kind of trope which it could have fallen into. She's given her some things to fight for and show for that. And she does a lot of, if I can call it great face acting, great reactions, great expressions without dialogue. To the point where you do stop believing it. You start seeing Jennifer Lopez, which is like the ultimate threshold to cross, but especially when someone is that famous and that well known, and also because there's the risk it might be kind of considered awards bait, like Jennifer Lopez. Hi, I'm here. I'm going to do angsty, and now give me an award. I think thankfully she manages to dodge that.
That's a really interesting point you just made, because I did start off thinking at the beginning, Jennifer Lopez. I just don't really. Sounds awful, but I don't really see her as an actor because I've not seen her in that many films. I mean, The Cell, and there's maybe a couple of other films. I don't really remember seeing many of her films, so I do think of her as a singer more than an actor. But she was good in this role, so it's I just don't know her in that many roles. That's all. But yeah, I soon forgot that she was J-Lo, the singer.
She's had a career of ups and downs, shall we put it politely. I will always love her for Out of Sight, the Steven Soderbergh film, which is now a long time ago. But goodness me, that is one of the. I'm as gay as hell. The sexiest films with George Clooney and Jennifer Lopez in that film together are just incredible. So she gets a lot of goodwill, probably, for a long time for me from that. But yeah, this is definitely one of the good ones, and it comes out in the same year as the Netflix Atlas that she did, which was not so good.
Yeah, maybe we'll save that for another video. That could be quite a juicy one. So it's Unstoppable. It's in cinemas December the 6th. I think it's coming to Amazon Prime, isn't it, in the new year as well? January sometime. Can't remember the date exactly. But yeah. Ian, thank you so much for inviting me. I had a really good night out. We're going to go for a star rating. I know that could be quite tricky. Some people prefer to do it marks out of 10, because if you're kind of wavering between 2 and 3 stars, it can be difficult. You don't want to be kind of mean, but yeah.
So if it's out of 10, I would give it a healthy 7. And that is because it lifts itself beyond the tropes enough to be interesting to watch. And it's directed with a lot of panache. And they put a lot of effort into making those wrestling sequences look really visceral and great. And you have to give them credit for that because it works.
Yeah, I agree. Star rating then, would that be a 4? Or would it
is that out of 5? And then I would say... I'd say, can I do a 3.5? Am I allowed points? Or I'll say 4.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Because I was thinking 3 earlier, and I was like, no, it's better than a 3, but is it a 4? It's tricky.
It's definitely in between, I would say, for me. So I'm gonna. If you're going to force me, if there's a gun against my head, I'm afraid I'm going to have to say 3. But it's for the right place and the right time. It's the right film. If you've got a bunch of students that you're looking to inspire on the sports field, then you'd sit them down, you'd show them that film. Definitely.
Oh yeah.
However, if you've got a bunch of gay friends around and you're playing drinking games and you think, let's put on a movie, then you might not put this film.
What would you choose instead, out of curiosity?
I would probably put Emilia Perez on, because that is crazy.
I've not seen it yet. I need to see it. I need to sort out all these new films that I haven't seen. It's very embarrassing when people do say, you know, their favourite film of the year is such and such, and I haven't a clue.
It's a one-off film that you can't repeat and you can't explain, really. It's so fantastic, and it's not perfect, but it is really, really interesting, and it is what filmmaking really is about for me. I love it.
Top tip. It's been an absolute pleasure having you, Ian. It's good to see you. Hopefully we can have another night out soon. It's on me though this time.
I'd like that very much.
Is there anything you want to plug, like a Mixcloud mix that you've done? It's very good, by the way. Everyone who's new to Cactushead.
Thank you. I mean, I do have some mixes on Mixcloud, yes, under the name DJ Cactushead, and I'll be putting a new one up in a couple of weeks ahead of trying to promote Beef Mints. We're doing, you may know, I'm resident DJ at this bear night called Beef Mints, and we are doing a colossal New Year's Eve spectacular at the Clapham Grand. It's going to be one of the best places to be on New Year's Eve, I think, and unless you're DJing somewhere, in which case that's obviously going to be the equal best place to be. I've got some music as well on Spotify under the name Cactushead. I've made some singles, some house music singles, which work well as a standalone dance singles. I certainly welcome anyone checking that out. They're all made from the heart. They're genuinely from the heart, and so do check those out if you can.
And we'll stick all the details down below. I don't know how you get time to sleep, and you're always seeing movies. I think you see more than us, to be honest.
Yeah, well, I love my films, and I vote on some awards, and so I watch around about 90 to 100 around this time of year over the kind of 3 months. But I do see other members of who literally spend their whole life doing this, and some of them are proud of watching 250 of them, and I'm thinking, well, you know, that puts it into perspective for me. I guess they're literally not doing anything else.
Exhausting stuff, but fun at the same time. Ian, good to see you. I'll see you soon, and thank you everybody for watching. Hopefully see you soon. Hopefully see you on the next one.
Thank you, Phil. Thank you for inviting me. All the best.